Yeah, definitely. So we're heading on to, in onto the second game in the second best of three between these two players. I think we are at least seems to be a small hiccup in or delay, but should be. Oh, there we actually go. And it's actually Neo Planet S. Now this is a map which. Personally, I do not think favors the style of Melle at all. And, just going with what he's done before, that's probably what he's going to go for, right? I mean, the heavy sky toss sort of army composition very early on in game. But before we dwell any further on the subject, I would like to introduce one of the players. And the player I'm going to begin with is, of course, the underdog representing Lowland Lions. It is none other than the green Protoss Melle in the bottom left of Neoplanet.
And in the top right, we have the very popular Liquid player. The Red Zerg, he needs one win here to secure that seeding advantage in the live finals event on Saturday. His name is Ret. And, I mean, it's kind of strange because, like you were saying, Melle, his strategy doesn't really quite pan out here. That three-base turtle is not really what you want to do on this map, but this is loser's pick, so he picked this map. So he's got something in mind for Neoplanet S, and he thinks he can pull it off. So I'm curious to see what he really wants to go for here.
Yeah, definitely. We're having absolutely no indication of any cheesy plays or anything, which the players do not usually do. Oh no, actually, yeah, I was a bit confused right there, but it does turn out that Melle is probably going to go for the Nexus first once again. I'm not really sure how this is going to work out for Melle. I'm very doubtful, I must say. It's just my instincts, my pros instincts are telling me that if any time, you should not try to do the same build once again, and I would love to see him surprise us.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I mean, this is the map to do it on. This is the map to not do air on, pretty much. I'm really curious to see. I don't think he can do the same build again. Having seen what happens against Ret every single time he's tried it, or the same composition, I guess, not build specifically. But I don't know. If he does the same thing, I'm with you 100%. I'm not feeling too good for success. Ret has shown that he's more than able to adequately defend against that composition and knows exactly what to do against it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Red has sort of not been doing the exact same thing, but he has sort of, found the key to beating it. And that's basically the tech switches, right? I mean, whether it's into Hydras or into Mutas or, I guess, just the drops into anything, it has worked out for him. And Melle hasn't really progressed to find the answer to that. I mean, when we saw Harstem versus This Game Sucks, we saw him continuously do a lot better for every single game they played. But in this case, I would almost say that about Ret. Ret is continuously doing better and better versus the style of Melle, and he obviously did well enough to begin with, right? So this is not a good trend for Melle, and it's definitely a struggle on his part.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. Ret gonna move and take that third base here in a second. Probe is hanging out in that area, but he's not going to get much of anything done there. Zerlings will actually pick him off. Oh, one more hit. They'll get him on the way back to the base. But that third hatchery does drop. And, yeah, looking like very similar openings we've seen from in the first 3 games so far between these two players. 2 gas now on the way from Melle. Once again, just pretty standard follow-up here. Should set a Cybernetic score. And, well, I don't know. Is this gas a little later than it was before? I feel like I'm not 100% sure on that.
Well, I mean, just purely based on the amount of workers, perhaps, but absolutely not by much. I mean, actually, I thought he was going to place only 2 workers in one of those gases, and that would indicate some gateway all-in, but that's not what we're seeing at all. Instead, it's probably precisely as before. Well, actually, let me correct myself. It's as the 2 previous games, because I believe we had the 4-gate pressure in the in the third game, in the beginning of this best out of 3, and perhaps he did a +1 timing with that whole thing, but we're not really seeing that right now. Instead, just like the previous best out of 3, both players playing fairly standard, trying to get those worker counts up, and soon enough we're gonna probably have that Stargate being placed down once again. And if he doesn't, well, then he is positively surprised us, hasn't he?
Yeah, and once he reaches that gas mark, I'm fully expecting to see that. And there it is. So, well, we're not surprised today. Going to be the Stargate once again, and well, let's see how Ret deals with it. He should. I mean, if experience serves, he should do quite well. And I don't want predicting a Ret win at this point would be obviously far fetched, 100%. But Well, very curious to see how Melee maybe tries to change things up just a little bit, even with the same composition, because what he's doing just has not been working, and just I don't really know what else to say about that.
I mean, he's done well, but not well enough, and it's actually fairly surprising that he's sticking to it. I mean, maybe this is his type of build to the extent that that he's just absolutely best with it, and he's so confident that, well, if there's anything he's willing to do, it's precisely this. And I must mention a bit, I was actually a bit incorrect. We're actually seeing a +1, but it's a bit delayed. Went for the Stargate before to prioritize the gas in that direction, and with that +1, he's going for the 4 gates, and looks like Red is just scouting them, so he knows what's coming up, and should deter this as easily as he did in the first game.
Yeah, I'm expecting that same. Well, actually, he has a Roach War in this game, and that is a bit of a switch from the previous games. We didn't really see Roaches come into effect much at all, to be honest. So, but this time, going to rely on some Roaches instead of just purely on Lings and Hydras for defense like he did in the last game. But, well, here do come those pylons. Zergling's being pretty annoying here, trying to dine these proxy pylons as best they can. And if he goes left, he might find them, but going to go ahead and go back to his base and prepare the defense a little bit, it seems, here. And, well, I'm just kind of curious to see if he can handle the Void Rays here, because he doesn't have the Hydras to fall back on like he did in the previous games as far as dealing with that with the Void Ray part of that initial kind of timing push with the 4 gates, if he does bring a Void Ray along, which there is one here. So, how is he going to deal with this Void Ray? I mean, there's 2 queens at this third base, and that's pretty much all he's got. If those queens go down, that's going to be a little bit of a problem there, but the Void Ray will fall back. Roach is going to work on the back, and nice little flanking action there from Brett, and he'll clean up the ground army pretty much as easy as you can ask for. And, I mean, this 4-gate pressure just not really achieving anything, once again.
Yeah, I think that the 4-gate pressure, when you delay it by this extent by going these Voiders and the Stargate, really counts on not being scouted. But Red has scouted it, and he's responding basically perfectly. He has the queens not even producing additional queens, getting fairly good queen count up, and that's his sole AA at this moment. And with the actually a bit too many links for my own taste right here, but it looks like he's going to be able to clear up any 4-gate reinforcements. Total of 9 roaches about to pop, and that should be enough. And if Red can kill the air and if he can kill the ground, I don't really see much here in the near future for Melle.
Yep, that one Void Ray will almost go down there. Queen's not quite able to pick him up. Going to try and give chase, but a third Void Ray just joined the fray. And well, one of these queens does go down, but another one does pop up and take its place immediately. But these zealots do need to be dealt with, so the queens can actually focus on those Void Rays. Another queen does fall, and you really can't afford to lose these against these 3 Void Rays. And actually, I may have called this a little bit too early. These Void Rays are actually still being really very obnoxious, and the Hydra Den is now on the way, but maybe a little bit later than Wretch really banked on here. And these Void Rays can do a fair bit of damage, and this third base is probably in a lot of danger before anything else can happen here.
Yeah, actually, these Void Rays are accomplishing quite a lot. I do not know where the reinforcements from Red has gone. If this Queen and Sporecrawler go down, I do not see anything which can stop these Void Rays, actually. And it looks like this third base is doomed to fail. Could this actually be that Melle has seized this one game versus Red?
I think the mistake was really just not going for the Hydras first. I mean, he went into Roaches, and I mean, Roaches obviously are pretty good against Zealots, but Hydras don't fare that badly against Zealots themselves and allow you to actually defend against Void Rays, and you're playing against a guy who has come with Void Rays every single time he's pushed. I don't know how you can really skip the Hydras in that case, but
yeah, I just think that somewhere along the line he didn't expect that persistence in terms of constantly warping in and producing those Void Rays. It felt a bit like some sort of pressure build. But obviously it was more intended as an all-in. At least it turned into an all-in somewhere along, the whole attack. And I think I was as caught off guard as Red by that. And Red just looked at the situation like, at some point, like, oh, I'm losing apparently. And congratulations to Melle for seizing that first game. That was very well done by him. Eventually those Voiders overcoming, killing the ground quickly enough to allow just his warpins to start to really